I'm going to walk you through a brief introduction on how DR Docufile is installed and how it operates from an introductory perspective. And if you have further questions, you can go to drdocufile.com or dwysdom.com as seen on your screen, dwysdom.com. So here we go. So first thing we're going to do is install DR Docufile. This is the PC version. We're going to show you that first. Double click the installation. And it will do its thing here. And once we're done installing, we'll come back and show you how to set it up and how to use it. Okay, we have installed DR Docufile, and we're going to go ahead and launch it here from the desktop icon. And you won't see a lot of activity on your desktop because DR Docufile, upon launch, works down here in your user tray. And you can see the icon here, DD, and we'll show you a couple of things here first. If you left click from a PC on DR Docufile's icon, you'll see this little drop box come up here, and I'm going to highlight it. This can stay active on your desktop at any time, and that's important, and we'll show you why in just a second and why I'm so excited about this feature. Now let's go ahead and pull up our user tray again and right click on the DR Docufile icon, and let's go to settings. This is called the drop window, and you'll receive a login, and here we are. We're at the settings window of DR Docufile. The general settings are here on this first tab, and it'll run DR Docufile on startup should you choose that. You can also show the drop window on startup if you choose that box. I'm going to leave it unchecked for now. We're going to skip over here to users management, which is the far right tab, and again you can set up another user. The default user will be your administrator, and you can install an email here, but you can also add additional users of different privilege or different permissions types. There's administrators, there's power users, and there's staff, which is read-only staff. Power users rather are able to make some movements in the program that we'll show you in just a second. The administrator obviously sets up the accounts and can do everything anybody else can do in DR Docufile. Now let's go to the one immediately left of it, email alerts and pop-up notifications. Now, if you want email alerts when your file retention period has ended, we'll show you that in just a second, you click this box and you can enter your username, password, your SMTP server, and your port, and you can also use the SSL security certificate, and you can send these emails as often as you'd like. Now, we will put some instructions on the DR Docufile program itself on how to retrieve the SMTP server and port, but you can also Google that or look it up on your favorite search engine in the email server you use, or email service rather, that you use, whether it be Gmail, Yahoo, Outlook, or maybe it's an enterprise version of Outlook on your desktop that your company maintains. All of that information is immediately retrievable. Now, moving immediately to the left, folders management. This is really important. Now let's go find a main directory to host our DR Docufile retention and destruction folders. Now, we can browse. I'm going to choose on this PC my desktop and hit OK. And when I hit save the very first time I use this, do we want to populate the main directory with the default folders? Now, DR Docufile comes replete with some default folders, primarily for human resource use. So let's say yes. And do we have more than 150 employees in our organization? The answer is no. And you'll see all these default folders for human resource purposes will show up with their federal retention period requirements. And that's very, very handy unless you want to do some research on how long you need to keep all of these folders. Now, now that that's done, we can save this. And we've seen all of the tabs on DR Docufile. So I'm going to exit out of this. Now, let's do something really interesting. You can see since I saved it on my desktop, all the folders from the default have been created on my desktop. I would recommend doing it someplace on the PC version inside your documents or someplace that is backed up regularly. Okay, so let's show you how the documents are retained and also how we can check to see if they're expired. Now, something really interesting has been built into DR Docufile. I'm going to show you that right now. For example, let's say we wanted to save a document into our DR Docufile folders, and I'll just choose one here. Let's save this one right here. I'll drag it out to the desktop so you can see it. And when I pull it into the drop window, you can drag and drop or copy and paste. When I drag it into the drop window that you see there, it asks me where I want my destination folder to be. And let's just say we want it to go into ADA accommodation. The effective date is the date of the document. So if that were today, which is June 8th of 2015, I would leave that. But you can also, let's go back to June of 2014. And let's choose June 1st. Highlight it and save it. And you'll notice two things. We're going to go into the ADA folder. You'll see this is the file that we dragged in. When we go into the ADA folder, which is right here, you'll see that it put the effective date in front of the original file name, so 2014-0601 underscore, and then the file name it was before. That serves two purposes. One, it shows you the effective date of the file inside of the document and the name of it, so it automatically will change the name of your document by placing the effective date in front of it with an underscore, and you still have the original document name. But it also gives you an indication when you're scrolling through if your expired files are coming up close. So let's go see if it's time for expired folders. We'll click here again, right click on our DR Docufile, check expired folders, and we'll be asked to log in because only administrators and power users can do this. And look at that. It has showed up in our expiration file because the ADA accommodation folder has a retention period of 1 year. So we left the default at 1 year, and since the effective date is more than 1 year old, it goes into your expired files window. And we can delete that by highlighting it and clicking delete. It'll ask us if we're sure. We'll say yes, and just in case you made a mistake, that file will end up in your recycle bin so you can retrieve it if need be. I hope you enjoyed this introduction to DR Docufile. You can add folders, you can subtract folders, change retention periods, modify retention periods with the right permissions, but it's just a tremendous resource that I'm very, very excited about to help you retain and destroy documents on a regular basis, on a basis that meets audit requirements. If you have more questions, go to drdocufile.com or go to our home page at dwysdom.com. That's DWYSDOM.com for more information. Hope you enjoyed this. We'll talk to you soon. For Dwysdom, this is Chad.